Afide, welcome back to CNMI Weekly, and now we're joined with two biologists working on Tinian with the bridled white-eye, who recently released a study about that native Tinian bird. And so, Kaylee and Fletcher, we'll just go ahead and just start with introductions. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your work on Tinian.
Sure, I'll go ahead and start. My name is Dr. Kaylee Swift, and I'm a postdoc working with the University of Washington. And I have been living out on Tinian for the past 3 years, where my work has focused on studying, ironically, not the bridled white-eye, but actually the Tinian monarch. We've been engaged in a long-term sort of natural history study out here. But in the course of spending so much day-to-day time in the jungle, we obviously observed lots of different things. And that's what brought us to this recent observation about one of our other forest birds, the bridled white-eye.
And my name is Fletcher Moore. I'm a current graduate student at the University of Washington. And along with Kaylee, I have been living out on Tinian for about 3.5 years. Firstly, working on the Tinian monarch, and then more recently working on kind of larger breadth forest ecology of Tinian and planning future conservation and restoration projects on the island.
All right, great. I'd love to talk about more of your wider work, but just to start off our conversation, you publish this piece with a very clever name, White-Eyed, Red-Handed. And so tell us a little bit about your observations, because it is quite interesting, basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, but these particular birds basically stealing from other nests to make their own, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I have to credit Fletcher with the title. He's the pun master. Um, but yeah, so the observation really came from a really like spontaneous, genuine place. We were watching a pair of fantails nest build, just because we're bird nerds and that's what we like to do in our free time. And after the pair had come in and added some material, they left, presumably to go collect more material. I noticed this pair of white-eyes come in, and they were sort of skirting around the nest, and I was a little suspicious that they might do then exactly what they did, which was take nesting material. And so first time we saw it, we went, oh, that's like an interesting one-off, but we didn't necessarily think anything about it. I think, like many people in the general public, we are often have the same experience of, like, if you see something, you think, oh, well, that's it, because I'm seeing it, it must be common and therefore it must be documented and probably not such a big deal. And then we kept seeing this behavior on some of the camera traps that we were deploying in the course of our day-to-day work with the monarchs. And after that, we looked into it more and found that actually this is a really rare behavior among solitary nesting songbirds, meaning some birds nest in big colonies where everybody's really together. A lot of birds are like folks out here experience to Baja, for example, they'll see all the seabirds very closely packed in the trees, or gone to Rhoda and seen the boobies. And in those contexts, sometimes stealing is a lot more common. But with birds like our white-eyes, who just, it's a single pair, they have their nest, it's away from the nest of other birds, this kind of behavior is a lot less common. And so we realized it was something that would be worth reporting.
And Fletcher, anything to add to for this particular piece that you published?
Um, yeah, I think Kaylee has covered kind of the behavior and how we stumbled across it pretty well. But something I'd like to add is the significance of publishing an observation like this in a scientific journal. Um, in the Mariana Islands, we have a lot of really interesting and unique wildlife, plants, all sorts of stuff. Just the entirety of the island environment is not like anywhere else in the world. And so there's lots of unique behaviors, things that happen there. And it would be wrong to credit, what we recorded and wrote down as being the first people to see this behavior, because undoubtedly thousands of people have seen something like this happen over the years. But it is important to our responsibility as researchers is to record these kind of things and then publish them in a way which can be shared far and wide. Because even if the specific organisms that we have in the Marianas are unique and only found there, the principles of ecology and biology apply across the world. And something that we see might not just be important in the Mariana Islands, but could be useful for someone else, far across the world, which we could never predict. So, writing these things down and sharing them could have impacts that you never really know at the time you're just seeing something.
And so tell us more a little bit about the bridled white-eye. My understanding is that it was last seen on Guam in 1983, and like many of the other forest birds, were killed by the brown tree snake. And so where can you find the bridled white-eye right now, and what is its current population, and what's the recovery like?
I can speak to this, Kaylee, if you'd like. So the Bridled white-eye, or the Nosa, as it's known in Chamorro, is a species that's endemic to the Mariana Islands. The Guam had its own endemic subspecies, which is a slightly more narrow classification of a species, which you're correct was driven to extinction by the brown tree snake. And unfortunately, unlike the sea or the coco, it was not preserved in zoos and aviaries. And so that species has been completely lost to us, which is a great tragedy. Luckily, its very closely related cousin, Nosa, in the Northern Mariana Islands persist. And so on Agiguan and Saipan and Tinian, it's a very common bird. On Tinian, since surveys showed that it was actually the most common bird on Tinian. There's believed to be several 100,000, maybe up to almost 1 million individuals on Tinian alone. So this bird is very common anywhere with forest cover, but especially native forests. It's something that you might be able to see, although it is very small and cryptic. So a lot of people may think that they've never seen it before, even though it flies, across the road when they're driving pretty often. It's maybe hard to tell exactly what it is. There's also a very closely related cousin that lives on Rhoda. That's called the Nosa luta, or the Rhoda white-eye. This is a listed endangered species because it's only found in the high elevation areas of Rhoda, and there's probably very few. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but a lot less of that bird on Rhoda than the closely related bridled white-eye on Saipan and Tinian.
We're here to talk a bit about your recent accomplishment, but first, do you mind just giving an introduction of yourself, your ties to the Marianas, and where you're at right now?
Yeah, Hafide, my name is Joshua Lee Mendiola. I'm born and raised in Guam, but I'm originally resided from the island of Luta. I'm currently living in Linden, Washington. Uh, and then I'm currently a sales rep for Pepsi out here. And I'm also now officially the OCB Pro Men's Physique Bodybuilder. And it was very exciting that I received my reward this past weekend. But that was one of the biggest accomplishments that I received, and representing the CNMI, the family.
Yeah, tell us more a little bit about the reward, what it's called, and what you had to do to earn it.
So the federation is called the Organization Competition of Bodies, which is called OCB. And it's a men's physique. In order to receive your pro card, you gotta obviously go through a solid prep and diet for this show, and learning the skills and learning the it's not just bodybuilding, it's the fitness in the background overall, and having that mental preparation for this show. Yeah, I was on a 24-week prep for this show. Leading up to the show, I had a lot of obstacles little minor setbacks, but we got back in the groove for it. And at the end of the day, I received first place on the novice category, because there's the two categories I competed in, and then another first place in the open for men's physique. And then they announced that I also won the OCB overall. So I was a men's physique overall champ, and also got awarded for being a professional, which is a pro card. The pro card obviously helps you level up in the organization, and also gives you a little bit more opportunities of being having some endorsements. That's also along the way. A lot of sponsorships that's along the way as well. There's a lot of talks on that as well. So I just got it. I'll be receiving some phone calls and such as emails throughout this week, and see what I can do to be rewarded to be part of some endorsements coming up shortly. So
That's awesome. Congrats. I mean, how did you get into this bodybuilding? When did you first start? What piqued your interest about it? And I mean, it sounds really intense, at least for the 24 weeks. It takes a lot of
yeah,
discipline.
yeah, it was very disciplined. So mental, physical, disciplinary all the way through. But what made me start was my older brother. He was he was a client, and he also was a bodybuilder too. He also competed in shows as well, and he became a personal trainer. And after being a personal trainer, I ended up just joining a gym with him. And for me, I thought just working out, we just want to fit in. You know, you want to look good, you want to feel good about yourself. Then I took it to a whole nother level where I'm like, maybe I got some interest in of what bodybuilding is actually about. And then I started looking to some shows and watching people go through like mental preparation to be in a strict disciplined diet for that long. I'm like, no way, I wasn't gonna be able to do that. But for me, I want to give it a shot. I want to see how is it gonna feel? How is it gonna what does it take to push that limit and push that, you know, that threshold over that, and getting through over that pain. And I accomplished it. It was it was worth it, because it's a lot of hard work, that was paid off for this, and a lot of, like I said, discipline, mental toughness. You gotta have a perseverance in the end too. So you gotta, you know, you just gotta push yourself through it. You know, everyone goes through like setbacks. Everyone goes through obstacles throughout the duration of your prep or you're getting ready for a show. But you just gotta fight through it. There's a lot of battles, you know. So it's like day in, day out, you just continue to grind outside the gym as well, you know, and life overall. So, but that was my interest, is seeing my brother work out. I'm just like, oh, I want to try it. So I end up doing it, and I end up pursuing it vice versa what he did. So I end up pursuing it more, and then I started getting more interest. Then I found the love and passion for it, because not only I was doing it for myself, you know, you have motivation. I have a 2-year-old little girl. I had a fiance that was my motivators, and the support system from my parents, and from the, you know, from the island, from the CNMI, going all the way through Guam as well. And having a lot of family members. Social media, you know, is the biggest thing nowadays. So they're just they're hitting me up and calling me, man, good luck out there, support, do it for the culture, do it for the roots, do it for the island, you know, represent who you truly are or who you came from. And that's what I did. And that's why I wanted to put Guam and the CNMI Islands on the map. And that's what I did. Besides me, there was another member that also got his pro card, and he's from the island of Guam, but him and I linked up, and we told each other that we're doing it for our culture, because they know that the little islands out there that didn't think they had what it takes, and we're true warriors for that. So
Right. And bring us back to the actual competition day. For those of us not in the world, or those at the competition, tell us what you had to go through to be judged and evaluated.
Oh, so with going back to the competition day, you definitely got to be evaluated how, the symmetry, how physically conditioned you are. Obviously, body fat percentage was the case. You just got to look very fit, and then also the posing, because posing does come with your body. It's just, if you go out there, you look great, but if you don't have the posing routines, you showcase your body, front, back transitions, learning the flow, and knowing that I was a dancer when I was a kid, and that kind of helped a little bit. So I had a little flow and little swag with that. But yeah, they judge you by that, and then of course at the end of the day they judge you by your smile, because you know you want to attract the crowd, you want to bring the crowd to you, and they want to see, whoa, this he is actually he's we're having fun, you know, we're having fun enjoying watching it. But it you want to showcase the all the hard work, you know, and you want to be artistic with your flow of your posing. You know, posing is like dancing, you know, dancing. That's all it's all about, and you're just showcasing your body. So
And you mentioned a lot about representing home. I understand there's also a community of bodybuilders here. I mean, I just wanted to give you a chance to maybe give some advice or share what you've learned to those who might be starting out or those who have thought about it but might be nervous
mhm.
to get into it. What would you say to them?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you had similar conversations early on, right?
Oh yeah, I had a lot of similar conversations early on throughout my fitness journey, and my fitness journey still continues. But my advice to you, you know, the young, you know, young era that is interested or wants to pursue in fitness slash bodybuilding, just don't quit, don't stop. Oh, you know, keep it. You know, it's day in and day out. You got to continue to grind. Got to continue to grind, no matter what, because you don't want to hold the brakes. You want to, you know, all gas. You know, you want to hit that gas and just keep pushing yourself. You want to pursue in this fitness industry, you got to do whatever it takes, because the hard working, it's hard working. It's a hard working person. At the end of the day, you want to win. You want to have that winning mentality as well. You know, you want to tell yourself that you can do it no matter what it takes. You know, it's a tough road. It will be tough. It will be rough. But you know, where we're from, we don't quit. There's no quit in our bloodline. You know, this is why we do what we do, and we love what we do. You know, so yeah, that's my advice to you, young era. You know.
In 2023, as you mentioned, we had a total of 459 cases. Now we are at 534 cases with about 1,459 children.
Child abuse and neglect cases have steadily increased over the past few years. The CNMI Division of Youth Services shared the sobering update in a recent press conference. Physical abuse, physical neglect, and sexual abuse are the most reported allegations.
And our numbers going out may also mean another thing, no? It's not good that it's there, because we know it's really happening in our community, but it might be because our awareness is really out there, our outreach, you know, folks are really comfortable in reporting now, and they know where to go, they know who to talk to, and you know, we're trying to break the stigma, and also making sure that everybody's aware of the services that we provide.
DYS also noted an increase in reports of drug use in the home as the past fiscal year saw 40 cases involving drugs impacting 119 children, including 6 newborns testing positive for meth.
Whenever there's drug use in the home, a lot of other factors are affected, right? So it's really, you know, we're looking for safety, which is utmost. For making sure, that's our job, is to make sure that there's safety, that the children are safe. So the degree of the impact, you know, different households vary.
Thomas Manglona, KUAM News, Saipan.
So I would define treatment courts as a public health approach to justice reform, and it offers a personalized treatment service to the participant.
The NMI judiciary has developed its drug court and mental health court successfully, addressing the community's specific needs. Now the court is exploring a veterans treatment court and is in the early stages of a federally funded viability study.
And we had a site visit just recently. They came to do interviews with veterans, their family members, treatment providers, all kinds of service providers, and even lawmakers, to better understand our veteran population. And it's no secret we have a lack of data here in the CNMI when it comes to our veteran population. So the evaluator who came was conducting the interviews to kind of get a better grasp on the research we currently have. The thing about being a veteran, right, is something that even I don't understand. They have a sense of camaraderie, a sense of routine that's built in the military, and coming back to civilian life isn't easy for every veteran. And if you look at the veteran statistics, we have, so many that suffer from PTSD, traumatic brain injury, depression, and their experiences are so unique to them. And that's why we have different kinds of treatment courts.
The study should be completed by the middle of next year. That's when they'll decide what a program could look like.
There's over 1,800 drug courts, right? There's over 600 mental health courts throughout the nation, over 500 veterans treatment courts, and rightfully so, because like I said, this is a public health approach to justice reform, and it works.
Thomas Manglona, KUAM News, Saipan. Saipan is hosting the 49th Annual Conference for the Association of Terminal Operators, Stevedoring, and Shipping Companies of Micronesia. Chad Richardson with the U.S. Department of Agriculture on Guam addressed how invasive species impact the islands and industry.
42% of all threatened endangered species are at risk due to an invasive species introduction of some type. So that's important not just from a biological standpoint, from an ecological standpoint, but as you guys all know in the industry, it's also important from a monetary standpoint. Anytime we have an endangered species or a threatened species that we have to deal with, it becomes a lot of red tape, it becomes a lot more money for us to try to figure out ways to do the work that we need to do.
He also spoke about efforts to control the brown tree snake on Guam and ensure they do not reach other islands in the Pacific.
We're spending a lot of time trapping, removing snakes in and around those areas so that we can hopefully prevent snakes from finding their way into some piece of cargo and exporting them.
He said invasive species awareness is critical because it can cost billions of dollars each year in impacts on natural ecosystems and the economy.
The longer you have a species present, the more your costs go up to try to control it.
Thomas Manglona, KUAM News, Saipan.